Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the precious gift of children. The psalmist declared, "Children are a gift from the Lord." What a precious gift we've been entrusted with. We also realize the many challenges that our children and their families face, especially children with autism. That is why we're so very thankful for the AVA Center. We believe it will be a great benefit for children and families in our region. We ask today for hearts to be open so that others may see the need and be willing to help with this great endeavor. Amen.
Welcome to the 2021 Speak from the Heart Telethon to benefit the Appalachian Valley Autism Center, broadcasting live for the next hour from Pikeville Medical Center.
Right now, I'd like to introduce the Vice President of the Board of Directors and the CEO of Pikeville Medical Center, Donovan Blackburn. My friend, over the years, I've always said, you bring passion to everything that you do, but I have never seen you more passionate about something than the AVA Center. Tell us how it got started.
Well, first of all, Keith, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to host this show. This telethon is a very important night tonight. And I can answer in really a couple of words if you just kind of look around the room. And obviously those at home right now can't see this, but if you look at all the faces that we'll show and talk about here in just a moment, this is why we're here tonight. So when we talk about the very beginning, you know, this all started back a couple of years ago when I first took the position of CEO for the hospital. The very first week in the chair, I received a call from a mother talking about their child and the need that they had with ABA therapy to allow that child to become the very best that they can be. And at the time, we were going through some financial struggles, and I made a promise to her, though. What I said was, give us a little bit of time. Let us get over the hurdles that we have, and I promise you this, that we will focus on pediatric care, and specifically those that are on the spectrum. And she was very kind. We hung up. God has different. I told you I wasn't going to get emotional.
That's all right.
There you go. You got
that's
me.
all right. You were doing what your
good.
mission was and what's right, but you never knew that it was going to come home to hit you.
It did. A few months after I was hired with the hospital, my baby girl was born. I call her baby girl. My granddaughter, Ava. And Ava, we knew after she was born that she had some issues. She had sensory disorder. She was diagnosed by her pediatrician. Her beautiful picture is over my shoulder. And from that day, we traveled to UK on the pediatrician's advice. We sat in a room like so many families in our part of the country, Eastern Kentucky, do, and we heard those words, that your child is on the spectrum. We weren't floored by it, but we had so many questions because what we realized is that, you know, Ava and most kids with autism, it's not a disability. It's a different ability. And the need for therapy to allow her to become the best that she could be, like so many other kids, was here. It needed to happen. So we sat in a room and we were told we needed to move. Like so many families, if you want help, you need to move. That wasn't acceptable. So we came back and we went to work. We'll talk about what we did tonight.
So you're obviously 2.5 hours away getting this therapy. You came back, you went to work. The AVA Center comes about, and right now, let's take a look at some of the faces that the AVA Center is helping.
There is an incredibly special place in Eastern Kentucky that is helping some of our most valuable resources to excel and reach their full potential. That place is the Appalachian Valley Autism Center, or AVA Center. Our learners, as we call them at the AVA Center, are precious. Each child is achieving milestones their families thought they would never see. We have created a familiar environment that promotes learning, providing timely intervention for children on the autism spectrum. Our learners can attend applied behavior analysis, occupational, physical, speech, and even feeding therapy sessions. They enjoy visiting the library, art room, and even swinging on the frog swing at the AVA Center. As the AVA Center continues to grow and provide care for more children on the autism spectrum, Additional treatment rooms and areas that offer fun learning activities are needed. New areas will include a gym and sensory area. Children are the future of this region. Pikeville Medical Center is honored to provide these services to our current learners, but there is a great need to expand and reach more children. That is why we ask you to speak from the heart and help us grow these services for the children of our region. Together, we can make a difference in future generations of learners. Together, we speak from the heart.
You know, when you look at those smiles, it breaks your heart because we know how we feel when our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, or our nephews give us that same smile. Donovan, we're going to pull up some ways that you can give tonight. And, you know, many of you may be viewing this or listening on the radio to the broadcast and saying, you're going to ask us to give. Yes, we are, because there's going to be a big need, and Donovan is going to touch on that. But as you can see on your screen, you can call 606-339-8113. You can text 606-477-4AVA. You can go to www.speakfromtheheart.org. Or, even for those of you that may be listening to the broadcast, you can actually come to Pikeville Medical Center and drop off a donation at the main entrance. My friend, you talked about how the Ava Center come about. Now here you are talking about therapy, learning about autism, and all of a sudden you found out what this and how this impacted families as you were told you would have to move.
Yeah, you know, Keith, it's, as I said, it's a story that we hear all too often throughout our region. And, you know, my baby girl is what I call her. Ava is highly functional. And though she's been in the program since its inception over the past several months, more than likely this year she will graduate out of the program and be able to move into a school. So, but there's so many stories out there that are totally different, to where their child needs additional therapy, more care, occupational, speech, food. There's so many different components of this that will all be part of the Ava Center. So when we talk about how it came about, we started in a 3,000 square foot facility. We've now moved into the old Summit building across from the Expo Center, which we call now our Learning Center. And in our Learning Center, these kids are called learners. We have several phases going on to be able to offer the full gamut of therapy under ABA therapy. These investments that need to be made are a lost leader. We're a nonprofit organization, so we cannot do this alone. Our intent is to grow into phase 2, 3, and 4, which is about a $1.4 million investment that we're going to be making on top of the building, on top of already the investments that we've made in personnel. But what we need is we need help. We need help to be able to make this $1.4 million improvement project come to reality so that those faces that you see on your home screen, those faces will see a different day.
Donovan, we're getting calls, and I love hearing the phone ring, and I love hearing everybody talking and taking the donations. Unfortunately, you're also getting calls of people saying, I want on the waiting list. And I know what your goal is. Your goal is that someday there will not be a waiting list.
Absolutely. You know, we cut the ribbon in August. We kind of did a soft opening. But when we went live with the governor and the congressman back in August, the phone started ringing. We now have a long waiting list. When you look again at the statistics, 1 out of 54 kids in the U.S. is diagnosed to being on the spectrum. The need is great. In Eastern Kentucky, it's even greater than that. We have a responsibility, not only as a Christian organization, but a people, to assist these kids in need, to give them the therapy that they need so, again, they can become the very best they can be. To see, Keith, I can name 4 kids in our program, just in the few months that we've been here, that said their first words. These are 5- and 6-year-olds in our program. So this means the world, and we can make a difference. Each of you can make a difference by picking up the phone and calling and pledging to this worthy cause.
We're just getting started, and we've got some incredible stories to tell you tonight. We're going to take a break and tell you about some things that are coming up on the Speak from the Heart Telethon, and we'll be back right after this.
Coming up on the Speak from the Heart Telethon, we will hear from American Idol finalist James Durbin, who talks about his life on the autism spectrum. And remember, you have the option to text your donation tonight to the Ava Center. You just simply text the word AVA to 606-477-4AVA. That's 477-4282.
Welcome back to the Speak from the Heart Telethon. We've already had an emotional start, and that figure that Donovan threw out, 1 in 54. Many of you may be saying, I'm not affected now, but the truth of the matter is, what about the future? Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. So the cause is there. With me right now, I want to introduce Andrew Scott, the Executive Director of Pikeville Medical Center Foundation for Quality Health Care. And Andrew, you've been able to reach out to several people and talk about limitations, but first, tell me about what the foundation is doing for the AVA Center.
Thank you, Keith, for having me. And the Pikeville Medical Center Foundation for Quality Health Care is a philanthropic arm of Pikeville Medical Center. Our main goal is just to grow, to support, and sustain Pikeville Medical Center initiatives, services, and programs. And that includes here with the AVA Center, which is probably one of the most compelling stories that can be told, which what our viewers are hearing tonight.
And indeed, and in fact, it's a need that, I hate to say this, has been overlooked in the past, and now discovering the need is something else. You also have had the chance to talk with some people that have proven to you that autism should have no limitations to what you could do.
It doesn't, and you know, the one thing that is sometimes a misconception, you know, there are so many people on the autism spectrum who are so very high functioning, and several of those I've had the opportunity over the past month or so to be able to reach out and talk to them, and these are national celebrities. One of those, in fact, is James Durbin, who I actually had a moment to sit down and talk to him. And James, actually, many people know the name; it's a household name. He was on American Idol, came in 4th overall, and has an amazing story that he tells us about what it's like living life on the spectrum.
Well, we all know American Idol. I mean, we never miss it, so let's go to the video and see what James Durbin has to say.
Despite the hurdles he has had to overcome, including losing his father at a young age, James Durbin has led a very successful life. He competed in American Idol in 2011, finishing 4th overall, and he was also the lead singer of Quiet Riot from 2017 to 2019. James Durbin has been very open about his life on the autism spectrum.
I would probably tell somebody that this does not define you, but this is an early hurdle in your life. Life involves so many hurdles and so many obstacles to conquer, and this was a pretty big one, especially in my life, of figuring out how to live with it and to live around others, and them learning how to live around me with it. It's funny, I just did an interview just now, like 10 minutes before this, where I was talking to a gentleman who told me that his daughter was diagnosed with Asperger's as well when she was a kid, around the time that I was on Idol. And whatever I did was an inspiration to her, and she's graduating college now. So it's when I was a kid, I always cried and dreamed and begged and prayed for a light, example of somebody that was like me, that had gone through the things that I had gone through, that had been where I had been emotionally and feeling out of place and unwanted and all that. And I wish that I had them so I could say, you know what, they did it. They're living their dream. They're accomplishing things beyond what their diagnosis is. And I just keep living with that reminder to be that for others and to use my experiences with my diagnoses, if that's a word. But I don't like to call them disabilities, because they don't disable me from anything. They're just more hurdles in a life that's already full of them. But if I can accomplish those hurdles and surpass them and still achieve in spite of them, then I'm doing something right. The biggest part of community is love. It's love. That's what makes a community, is love and caring for those around you and showing love for those around you. And if the way that those around you need to be shown love and to need to be shown that you care is through this foundation. And the amount of people that it's going to help in your community is incredible. It's actually incredible.
Wow, what a powerful message. And I mean, I hope and pray that every American Idol fan calls right now to make a donation. I mean, for James to be on the biggest stage in the world, there are no limitations. Andrew, we're asking people to partner with us tonight, to be a partner in this. But truly, the partnership started here at Pikeville Medical first because your employees stepped up and said they wanted to be a part of this. And as we all know, with the pandemic and what took place in 2020, no worker endured more than the healthcare workers. And here, your employees have stepped up to donate their vacation time toward this cause. If there was ever any employee that deserved a vacation, a much-needed one, it's them. But they see the cause of the Ava Center so sincere that they've donated their vacation time.
Absolutely, Keith. And, you know, one of the things that's great about that point that you make is that, you know, not only are we asking the community to support us, but our own people here at the PMC are supporting us. And it's not because we asked them. We got calls, I got emails from people long before we started this telethon, for people asking if there was a way that they could donate part of their vacation time. And then keep in mind, this is in the midst of a national, actually a global pandemic here, right? And if anybody needs their vacation time, you know, it's now. Most people didn't have vacations last year. But these people are telling me, and they will tell you, that it's more important for them to be able to give back. If their vacation time can change the life of a child who's on the spectrum, they are more than willing to give it, and they have given a lot of vacation time, and I can't be thankful enough to them for that.
We'll get to that total. Not only are they giving, but they also got together and put together a little video to challenge other employees and all healthcare workers. Let's take a look.
Hello everyone, I'm Josh Dameron, Director of Critical Care here at PMC. I challenge everyone to participate and donate to the Speak from the Heart campaign. This is truly a wonderful cause that is changing the lives of so many here in our own town.
When I looked at the video and the work that the Ava Center is doing, and I viewed the video put out by Nicole Newsom and saw the challenges that she had as a parent, I was compelled to give. And I think that I will challenge the laboratory and the pathology staff and our hospital-wide folks to give as well.
I'm Bob Buckley, Assistant Vice President of Respiratory Services at Pikeville Medical Center. I'd like to challenge all my coworkers to make a donation to the Speak from the Heart organization. We are so blessed to have an organization like the Ava Center in our community. I have seen firsthand the benefits that these children receive.
I think the thing that really touched me and that made it more real for me and showed me that this was something I could realistically do was, like you said, I did do the math and I thought, well, I waste $3 a paycheck. I mean, we all do. And I thought, if that can help a family and help someone in our community and help someone in need, then that's something that we personally can, each and every one of us can do.
You know, Andrew, I can safely say we just watched a video of heroes become even more of a hero with what they're doing. They're giving, and we need to ask everyone tonight to give what they can.
Absolutely. And they're seeing the need. They're seeing what we're seeing and what we're conveying here tonight, which is that we're at full capacity. We've got to be able to serve, you know, the children on our waiting list, the learners on our waiting list. But we can give by calling 606-339-8113. We've also got a text to donate number of 477-4AVA 4282. That's a 606 area code, or www.speakfromtheheart.org, or you can drop off at the main entrance here at the hospital.
Please make the phones ring. There would be no sweeter sound during this broadcast than all of the phones ringing. Coming up, we've got some more incredible videos and stories for you. Stay with us. We'll be back to the telethon in just a moment.
Coming up, we'll take a look at the tally board and see the donations that are coming in. and will tell you more about the services offered at the only center dedicated to providing specialized therapy for children on the autism spectrum in Eastern Kentucky.
Welcome back. We're about 20 minutes in. The phones are ringing. People are responding, and we are so thankful that you are. Join us back at the podium, the CEO of Pikeville Medical Center, Donovan Blackburn. We opened up the segment talking about your experience and the information you started finding out, Donovan, about families having to travel and then having to make the economic choice. Am I able to travel? And earlier today when I talked to you, you even explained to me they had to try to explain to the child while they were having to travel. This hardship has been on so many families.
You know, Keith, we saw firsthand, again, Ava, my granddaughter, having to travel to Lexington and Cincinnati. You know, and as a child, 1 year old, 18 months old, being put in a car seat for 4 hours with already the issues that they're having to deal with, it puts a tremendous strain on the child and on the family. But even beyond that, and again, you know, we're very blessed as a family because of the therapy and because of God's mercy. Ava has been able to develop and be extremely high functioning. But I keep going back to that that's not the story with every single learner that we have. So we have to take that into consideration also of what burden that it puts on a family, not only financially, but emotionally at a time to where they don't need this additional stress. So, you know, again, we have families before the Ava Center opened. We have families that were driving 2 hours a day to Lexington for their child, getting up early in the morning to get there by 8 o'clock in the morning, and then making the long journey home 5 days a week. That's simply unbelievable. And it's something that we shouldn't and couldn't stand for. So that's the importance of this center.
Yeah, you know, the other thing that gets me, in our region that we live in, we're a close-knit family ties.
Absolutely.
One of the things that you said in the opening of this broadcast is you were told you would have to move. What a decision to make when you're looking at your family and saying the only way I can help my child is to move away from the rest of my family 2.5 hours away so that they can get the treatment.
You know, when you look at the families of the Ava Center, our learners, you're going to find that same theme amongst the families that we have currently. But that doesn't touch all the families that are still out there that need this help for their child. So, you know, it's unfortunate. And with your donation, with the folks that are out there listening, with our business partners, with our vendors, all our employees, everyone that understands the need and what it represents. When you look around and you see these children's faces, and you see them turn from a frown to a smile because they accomplish something that we take for granted. You know, a lot of times, Keith, we look at our kids, and you'll see a video in a moment, but I can give you an example that, you know, an argument with a child is something that frustrates us as parents, where some parents absolutely are thrilled by the fact that they have now a child that can argue with them because it means advancement. Story after story of what this center means to families and how each of you out there listening today can help.
And whatever the donation is, it is going to help. So please don't think that your donation is going to be too small. It's not. You can help. And you can help a family that we're going to show you right now that was forced with the same decision that was brought to Donovan. They were going to be forced to move to get the treatment they needed.
Statistics say 1 in 54 children is on the autism spectrum. However, before the Appalachian Valley Autism, or AVA Center, opened in early summer of 2020, the impact of that number in Eastern Kentucky was not truly known.
We knew the service was needed in the area, but we had no idea it was at this capacity.
The need for autism therapy was being revealed even before the first signs were placed on the building.
We put one sign up next to the road, and 30 minutes later, and this is no exaggeration, we had a man come to our door and say, "How do I get my son in for services?" And he didn't know what services we even offered. He just saw the Appalachian Valley Autism Center and knew that they needed services as quick as possible.
The AVA Center offers a type of autism therapy called Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA therapy, which, other than here in Pikeville, is only offered in larger cities such as Lexington, Louisville, or Cincinnati, and has been found to be a successful therapy option for those on the autism spectrum.
A lot of our kids don't really know how to express themselves in a certain way, and we just figure out how we can help them. And a lot of ABA is bringing out that functional communication. You know, at home they may know I can just go to the fridge and pull this out and that's how I get it, but if they go out in public and they're at a grocery store and they want something, they don't know necessarily how to say it.
Therapists at the AVA Center also work with the children on tasks that most people take for granted, and one of those is potty training.
And for us, it's very simple. We can independently go to the restroom. Our learners cannot. They need help facilitating just the motor planning of going to the restroom, opening the door, undressing, redressing, the sound of running water. All those simple things that every day we take for granted are overstimulating for our learners.
Another focus at the AVA Center is teaching patience.
A big thing for our learners is learning how to accept weight. We do often run a waiting protocol, so it's just tolerating, no, I can't have something right in the moment, I have to wait for it. Seems like such a simple task for us. For our learners, it's not.
Everyone who works at the AVA Center will tell you that working with these children is much more than just a job.
Our team is very passionate about our learners, and that's something you'll see even briefly as you walk down our hallways. Everyone's smiling, everyone's happy to be here, even on our hardest days. When you hear families share their success stories with you, that makes every bit of this worth it.
Especially the success stories that you don't see coming.
When you're smiling at them and they don't do anything, but then that one day they smile back at you, that's amazing.
The smile on the children's faces. We actually showed the video first telling you about the services. Now, Donovan, these are all services that everyone was having to leave in order to get.
Absolutely, and what you saw was a couple of our BCBAs who are our heroes. These are the folks that developed the treatment plan for the child. Again, this therapy is life-changing for not only the child, but for the family.
You hear the phones ringing. We actually have an early total that we're going to show you, and there's been so much work put into this total, Donovan. You can explain it. It's coming from your employees, your community partners, and vendors, everyone that has stepped up to try to make this happen.
I mean, this is phenomenal, Keith. As we just mentioned, right now we're committed, already under construction. There's some additional capital improvements we need to make, but right now we've got about a $1.4 million project that we've undertaken. Tonight's progress, total, everything that goes in, this is progress, will go towards the development of this facility. So the total you see on this is our first tote board of $19,414.03. As you mentioned, this comes from our community partners, our employees. Our own staff of 3,000 believe in this program. They understand the program. As our local partners, we have many partners out there that have opened their wallets and opened their hearts, more importantly, to understand the necessity of this program. And we're asking you to do the same.
Yeah, and I like how you put the term on the total we have. This is the start of progress.
Absolutely.
Because you told me the potential need in this region, the amount of children that could be waiting to get these services that you're providing is outstanding. And I asked you, how long would the need go on? And you said, as long as I'm alive.
Absolutely. This is something we're committed to. This is life-altering, not only for the child, but for us as an organization. We are committed to this. So, as the old saying goes, the first step is the start of a 1,000-mile journey. We have a long journey ahead of us.
Yeah.
But it starts tonight. It starts with you, please, picking up the phone and making a commitment to helping these kids in our region.
Families making 2 trips a week, 2 trips a week, 2.5 hours away. You know what the cost of gasoline is, hotel rooms, food, eating out, staying overnight, and then how do you get off work? How do you manage it? What does it do to the family? What does it force you to do? This video is called For Sale because this family almost had to move.
This is a scenario that happens way too many times across eastern Kentucky. Many families with a child who has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder are told that in order for their child to receive the necessary therapy, they will have to move to Lexington, Louisville, or Cincinnati. And this is affecting families we all know and love.
We were 4 days away from moving to Lexington. We had everything packed up, getting ready to move. His dad was going to have to stay here. All my family's here, my entire family lives here, and I'm going to be there. This is where I grew up. This is where I dreamed of raising my child.
Families are being split up, sometimes because of work, sometimes to keep their other children in a normal routine, and sometimes because there just isn't any other option. It's a terrifying decision, but there is no line a parent won't cross when it comes to caring for and supporting their child. But thanks to the Appalachian Valley Autism, or AVA Center, Bethany and Chase did not have to move. The AVA Center at Pikeville Medical Center began growing immediately. We have completed Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 much quicker than anyone has anticipated. But that just shows how many families in our region are affected by autism. This is why the PMC Foundation for Quality Healthcare is introducing Speak from the Heart, a fundraising campaign for the AVA Center, which will allow us to complete Phases 4 and 5, giving us a specialized indoor gymnasium and 35 additional therapy rooms to allow us to serve 100 learners.
What a wonderful success story. Donovan, the phones are ringing, but we need all of them ringing.
Absolutely. We want them all ringing. So, again, there's different methods or ways that you can give. First, you can call by phone, 606-339-8113, or you can text 1-606-477-4AVA. That's 4282, 4AVA. Or you can go online at www.speakfromtheheart.org. Or if you're already out, you're driving around, you're listening to this on the radio, stop by our main entrance in the roundabout, and there's a tent out there that will gladly take your donation.
Absolutely. We need to add to the total. Please stay with us. In fact, call someone and tell them to tune in or to listen, because we've got some amazing stories coming up that we want to tell you about. We'll be back in just a moment.
Coming up, we'll hear from two best friends, one of whom is on the autism spectrum, who captured the hearts of fans of the television show The Amazing Race. Yes, we're talking about Zev and Justin from seasons 15 and 18. And don't forget, you can text to give for tonight's telethon. Simply text the word AVA to 606-794-4AVA to make your donation.
Welcome back to Speak from the Heart Telethon. Andrew Scott is back with me. Andrew, friendships are vitally important, and you've had a chance to really find that out during the building of this telethon.
Absolutely. Friendships are key to how we interact all over the world. And we've got two people here that we were talking about that I had the pleasure to sit down with Zev and Justin from The Amazing Race, which is one of my favorite reality TV shows. And their friendship is amazing. And Zev's been very open about being on the autism spectrum.
Let's take a look at what two good friends have to say about autism.
The Amazing Race is one of the most mentally and physically challenging reality television shows ever, as teams race against each other and the clock. During season 15, and again in season 18, fans were immediately drawn to the team of Zev and Justin, two best friends who overcame obstacles and worked together better than many of their competitors. Zev is on the autism spectrum and says on the show he was able to lean on his best friend Justin when he found himself in a difficult situation.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of big crowds. Like when we were in India, I should have done the task, but I kind of had a freak out panic attack, and Justin had to do it. So,
right.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, he had a couple of moments, but in general, he handled it all really, really well, considering how committed he was to, routine and how much he didn't like change going into it. I mean, I saw a big difference from the beginning to the end in him.
While many friendships on The Amazing Race seemed to buckle under pressure, Zev and Justin's only got stronger.
I didn't really have many friends growing up. I guess I really started making them in my 20s when I met Justin. So I always had like friends, but like never like friends.
I mean, we were always really close, but the race definitely shows you a lot about your relationship. And, you know, I just was really proud of him throughout the process of how he handled change and dealt with, you know, the pressure. And it showed us, you know, how being patient is really important, and it kind of brought us both outside of our comfort zones. So, you know, I think it was really good experience for both of us individually, and, you know, definitely just strengthened our bond.
10 years later, the two remain best friends, and Zev continues to be a role model for other young people on the autism spectrum.
There's no like magic pill to like make it go away or make it better. So you just gotta embrace it and live with it. Being on the spectrum, we are capable of doing these types of getting out of our comfort zone types of things.
An amazing race, but an amazing friendship also. You can give. The phone number is 606-339-8113. You can text 606-477-4AVA or www.speakfromtheheart.org, or you could actually drive up to the main entrance and drop off your donation. We will take all donations any way that you can get them to us. Andrew Scott still with me. And Andrew, earlier tonight there was talk from Donovan and you about some things that sometimes we take for granted. Little things, a conversation, or maybe even a disagreement between a parent and the child. And you've got an amazing story about a young man named Carson that really brings that to life.
Right, yeah, and Keith, thank you so much for bringing that up. You know, what happens, you know, I'm a father, and I've got two beautiful sons, and I'm very proud of them. We take for granted as parents when our children are able to tell us things and to speak and say, hey, you know, Dad, I want an ice cream, or Dad, I want to go here, or I want to go there. You know, many children on the autism spectrum are nonverbal, and that's one of the things that's applied behavior analysis, the ABA therapy that we have here in Eastern Kentucky with the AVA Center, that really helps them. There have been children who have not spoken. Their parents, one parent, I will tell you this, Keith, one parent told me that in the midst of 2020, with a global pandemic going on, was her best year ever, because she got to hear her son's voice for the first time, and he told her that he loved her.
Wow.
And that's what we can do here with everybody's help out there watching.
And that's why we
can give these kids voices.
That's why we're asking for you to donate. And here's an example. Carson's going to tell you himself that he wants ice cream.
For most families with young children, hitting certain milestones, such as saying their first words and potty training, are expected and even taken for granted. However, for families with children on the autism spectrum, these accomplishments are considered victories. Carson's mom, Nicole, says he began showing signs of autism when he was 18 months old. After waiting nearly a year for an appointment in Louisville, Carson received his autism diagnosis.
We knew everything that we said was spot on. So the only thing different that they recommended to us was ABA therapy, which we did not have here.
Little did she know that the Appalachian Valley Autism, or AVA Center, was in development and close to opening.
When he started here, he led us to everything he wanted. He would lead us to the kitchen for snacks. He would lead us to the refrigerator for milk. You know, it was a guided thing, but there were no words.
But Carson found his words in just a few short weeks after he began going to the AVA Center.
His dad sent me a video, and it was a video of him saying, "My name is Carson."
Say, "My name is Carson."
My name's Carson.
And that was something that I really didn't think we would ever hear him say. So, from "My name is Carson," we've blossomed, and there's literally a new word every day. Carson is potty trained, and he was wearing diapers when he started at the Ava Center. Because now he knows when he needs to go and tells us on his own.
Carson, who recently turned 5, now has a growing vocabulary, including the words every parent longs to hear.
And then the biggest win for me, of course, is hearing, "I love you, Mommy."
I love you, Mommy.
So much.
So much.
The things that most parents take for granted is hearing your child speak. That really confirmed that we were in the right place at the Ava Center and that Carson was where God wanted him to be.
Nicole and so many other families with children on the autism spectrum say that autism has taught them to appreciate all the little victories that are so easily taken for granted.
Everything that seems so normal, an autism parent is so thankful for, and we all connect in that way. We know how little victories mean so much. And I think the biggest thing that I've had to learn out of this is trusting God's timing. You know, as a mom, you want to fix it. As a nurse, you want to fix it. And I was not able to fix what Carson needed, but God gave us the Ava Center to help us.
What a beautiful video. And Nicole, when you cry, I cry. We all cry. And I mistakenly said that Carson was asking for ice cream. Hey, it's live television, but Carson, you're going to get ice cream after this. I feel that, my friend. You're going to get a lot of it. Nicole is actually a nurse and works here at Pikeville Medical Center, and she is actually here tonight answering the phones, and this is not scripted, but let's give her a hand. Thank you. What an emotional story, and now it's your chance to step up. You can give. Stay with us. We've got more stories, more information to tell you. Speak from the Heart Telethon right after this.
Coming up, another reality TV star on the autism spectrum shares his experiences as a child struggling to understand the differences between himself and others. Ian Terry, winner of Big Brother 14, will be with us after the break. And remember, you can make a donation tonight by phone or online. You can call 606-339-8113 to make a pledge, or you can visit speakfromtheheart.org.
Welcome back. So many outstanding local stories. And I'm starting to wonder, Andrew Scott, that you've got some kind of connection to Hollywood or something, because every time you come back up on the podium, it's American Idol, it's The Amazing Race. You're in touch with all of these stars who are giving you their time and their testimony. And lo and behold, you're going to have another surprise for us.
Well, it's truly a team effort, Keith, and anything we can do to bring light to our center here. These people have been amazing to help us with that. One of the things that is so amazing, Big Brother, and that's what we're getting ready to talk about. Big Brother, a very popular TV show, reality TV show. Ian Terry from that show, I actually had the opportunity to sit down with him. I've met with so many celebrities here lately. It's amazing, but they are really they're very supportive of our program. They want us to succeed tonight. They want us to go on to phases 4 and 5 and be able to bring in more learners.
Yeah, they're actually giving a voice and supporting the cause because they know how important it is. And let's now take a look at what Ian Terry had to say.
I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Ian Terry, Big Brother Season 14 winner, to discuss life on the autism spectrum. Ian has seen great success, both personally and professionally, and discusses with me the importance of proper love and care for those on the autism spectrum.
I mean, I know when I was growing up, it was always a little bit challenging because, first off, I didn't know, right, why I would feel like certain movements. I was like, this is natural to me. So whenever I would do something like that, or maybe I would have a hard time like keeping eye contact, or my eyes move around a lot, like if a student makes fun of me for that, or a fellow student, I would say I don't understand like why this is happening. I can't control this, right? So I felt like that it made it a little bit difficult to fit in for a long time. After the first season, when I got off the show, I got a lot of emails, letters from viewers who were saying things just along the lines of like, my son is on the autism spectrum and identifies with you. And I was very moved by these. I didn't know. I was like, why does my body want to do this, right? Why do I feel like I want to rock back and forth at times? Why when I was in elementary school was it difficult for me to sit still, to a point where they were saying like he maybe shouldn't be in the gifted program because he's a distraction. The movement is distracting to others. So for me, I felt like it was sort of all on me to kind of figure things out and forge that path. I think that what y'all are doing is great work, like providing a community with the means to have these sorts of services, these sorts of discussions right there, so that families don't have to travel long distances or, as you mentioned, be torn apart. I think that is, extremely, extremely valuable.
What a great story, Andrew. You continue to show that there are no limitations. And with the guests that you've had, it rings true. When it comes to autism, there is no limitations, but these people are so passionate about it.
These are very bright, intelligent, beautiful children, and we all need to do whatever we can to give them a leg up and help them move forward.
I got ahead of myself a little bit, but I got to tell you something. When you watch these videos and you get emotional, in between crying and getting emotional, it's kind of hard to stay on track with what you're doing. But earlier we talked about how important it is to have that conversation with the child, even if the child is disagreeing.
Absolutely.
And this video with Preston is, what a wonderful video. I'll let you set it up.
Well, you've got situations where, I remember with my two boys when they were younger, we'd get frustrated. I'd say, do you want to do this? And they'd, no, I want to do this. And, you go back and forth. And we as parents oftentimes take for granted what spectrum parents have to deal with. And a lot of times it's because the child is not able to tell the parent what he or she wants. They have to lead them everywhere, as I said earlier. And so for parents on the spectrum, those little arguments that you and I may find frustrating are blessings. And that's kind of what this next video is about.
Well, I can tell you, get a tissue ready because you'll need it, and you'll never, ever say no to ice cream again after this.
Thank you.
Like so many other families in eastern Kentucky, the Newman family found themselves facing some tough decisions after their son Preston was diagnosed with autism.
At that time, we were already doing speech therapy, occupational therapy, and he was in preschool. The only other thing we could do was ABA, and it wasn't offered around here at the time.
But that all changed in the summer of 2020 when the Appalachian Valley Autism, or AVA Center, opened, and the Newmans got the call they had been praying for. When Preston started going to the AVA Center, he struggled with basic communication skills.
He was almost completely nonverbal. He pointed to what he wanted or led us to it.
Or he would just take us to the refrigerator and just point to it, and we would open it. We would not know if he wanted, a juice to drink or milk to drink, if he wanted a sandwich or anything in there. A lot of times it would end in him having kind of a little bit of a meltdown because he couldn't tell us what he wanted. And by the time, we made it through everything asking him what he wanted, he was frustrated to the point to where he didn't want it anymore.
After a few weeks at the AVA Center, Preston began using words to express himself. And not long after that, his words surprised his mom on the way home from the AVA Center one afternoon, when he said something nobody expected.
Sometimes we'll get him a Happy Meal on the way home if he's had a good day. So I said, Preston, do you want a cheeseburger? And he said, how about an ice cream? And I said, no, how about a cheeseburger?
Do you want a cheeseburger?
Do you want an ice cream?
Do you want a cheeseburger?
No ice cream.
How about a cheeseburger?
How about an ice cream?
She sent the video to me first, and I watched it, and I think I was at work. And of course, I had to show it to everybody at work that, you know, hey, this was 6 months ago, he wouldn't argue with you about a cheeseburger and ice cream.
And that was the first time that he had ever used his words to argue with me. And it's something that many parents take for granted, but he didn't have words for so long. I was so glad to hear him argue with me over an ice cream.
Preston continues to express himself, and he's using new words every day. His parents say this gives them hope as they look ahead to Preston's future.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen within the next 6 months, because I think it will be amazing to see.
Boy, when this broadcast is over, can you imagine what the lines are going to be like to get ice cream? They're going to be really long.
Preston's going viral, too. I guarantee it's going to be
there's
the most watched video on
no
YouTube.
No doubt in my mind. You can give. Please phone 606-339-8113. Text 606-477-4AVA. www.speakfromtheheart.org. Or you could even drop off at the main entrance. Now stay with us, because we're going to show you a little bit of what's coming up, and we may even have a special surprise for you.
After this short break, we'll have the conclusion of the Speak from the Heart Telethon to benefit the Appalachian Valley Autism Center at Pikeville Medical Center. And we'll have a special musical performance by a young man on the autism spectrum. And remember, you can also make a donation tonight via text. Just text the word AVA to 477-4282.
Welcome back to Speak from the Heart Telethon. You still have time to call in. You still have time to make a donation. You have time to call a neighbor or friend or inform someone about what we've talked about here tonight. I want to welcome back to the podium the CEO of Pikeville Medical Center, my friend Donovan Blackburn. You know, you and I talked earlier today, and we had a real deep conversation, sincere, about sometimes in life you get news that you think is the worst news possible. And then later on, you find out what a blessing
Amen.
It has become to you.
Absolutely, Keith, and it is a blessing. And I told you earlier, you know, try not to get emotional just because this is such an emotional story. You see all the videos and really what this means and why it's important for everybody to pick up the phone. But, you know, nothing is more important than love. And love rules the world. And everybody that's giving out there is because of love and speaking from the heart. But we're going to go off script a little bit, if you don't mind. And I'll tell you why.
I'm with you, my friend.
I'm going to tell you why. Folks, if you're listening out there, you know, you've heard the story of the AVA Center. The faces, these are faces of kids, Keith, that these are children, people, flesh and blood that need your help. And too often, we see them as photos. We see them as flashes on the screen. And we don't put our heart into what they mean. So my little grandbaby, Ava, who you've heard a lot about, was sitting at home today. She's watched this entire segment. And she told her mommy and daddy that she wanted to come and see Pop Pop.
All right.
So come up here, baby girl. Come here.
And here she is, Ava.
Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Say, you going to tell them boo?
Boo.
Say, you trying to scare them?
Everyone. And come up and say,
So you're so, yes, she says she's so silly. This is what tonight means and what it means to me. This is my life. And this is why we're doing it. And this is why we're, what?
Everyone.
Say, give from the heart.
Give from the heart.
This is why we're asking people to pick up the phone, is to help the little ones like this who can't help themselves. This is my life.
Everyone, love each other.
Love each other.
Absolutely.
Who do you love?
everyone.
You love
everyone.
And Donovan, you know, because I was with you today and I saw the tears streaming. You know that every person in the video, everyone at home tonight, everyone that's on that waiting list, their heart feels just like yours.
God is good.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Ava, I have a funny I have a funny feeling you're either going to be president of the United States or you're going to be in broadcasting because you're like a microphone.
Everyone, come on, walk.
Keith, this is a baby that a year and a half ago couldn't stand in an elevator with an individual. They couldn't walk into a room. Yes, it was you, baby girl. And now you can't see behind the camera, but you know, the room is fairly full. Everybody's masked, by the way, just for safety.
Everyone loves me.
Everybody loves you. Pop-Up loves you, don't he? So I wanted people to see the face of what this means and what it's going towards. We've got a lot of partners out there, Keith.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had a total up, and as Donovan said, actually it wasn't a total. It's a work in progress, is what he called it. And Donovan, you got so many people regionally, locally, that's supporting this cause and getting behind the Ava Center because they know there's literally possibly thousands of children that need this service, and there's grandmas, grandpas, moms, and dads that would love to have what you just had there at that podium.
There's no doubt, and I can't thank our community partners enough. I can't thank for everyone that's called in thus far, but it's not over. The phone lines, all these methods that you can give, not only is today, Keith, it's going forward. But again, the names that you see on your screen with our event sponsors, from the bottom of my heart, and from all those families who are impacted, thank you.
You have a special video that, again, is going to highlight the fact that there is no limitations when it comes to autism.
Absolutely. Before we go there, do we have a total? Because of our community partners, I want to thank everybody. $311,189. You talk about a first step. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep the phones ringing, please. Don't stop today. Now, we want to close out, Keith, by to your point. When you looked at all the star power that was here tonight on screen, you realize that it's not a disability but a different ability, and people can overcome with the right help and the right motivation and the right love. And you saw that time and time again. And we have Zayne, who we're going to kind of close out with. And just a really quick backstory on Zayne, because we're running out of time, is Zayne is from Columbus, Ohio. He was diagnosed at the age of 4. He couldn't even button his own clothes. He couldn't do that going into as a teenager. But he went to his parents and he asked them to buy the Guitar Hero game. And he learned to play a guitar on that game. He then asked them to buy him a stringed instrument, a guitar. But over the last few years, he's been able to master about any stringed instrument. So we reached out to him and we asked him if he would be kind enough to help us and to participate in tonight's event. He very happily did so. So he started a band, actually, with other kids who were on the spectrum called The Spectrum. And he grew and advanced from there. There was a cover band, actually, that he played for. They called him up and said, can you learn these songs? He learned 50 songs in 30 days.
Wow.
With what you're getting ready to hear, he learned this in one day. So I give you Zayne.
Very fitting. Thank you, Zayne. What a way to end the night. Donovan, I will say this to you. This is not an expansion. This is a mission. I know that from you. And when you're on a mission, great things are going to happen, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks to everybody out there. Thanks for joining in. Please call.
Phones are still ringing. Keep calling. Thank you. Good night.